Welcome back to the channel, guys. I think it's time to evaluate the situation and see what's left to do on this little WR125. It's not that far away. The full series is linked in the description below. I'm Dino, this is Patch's Repair Shop. Let's have a look and see what we've done so far, shall we? We've done both the sprockets, front and rear, new chain, we've had the rear wheel off, and we've replaced the rear wheel bearings. We've fitted the headlight properly. We've replaced this panel here. We've replaced the front panel. We've replaced the handlebars, the clutch lever, the clutch cable. We've rebuilt the front forks with new seals, new dust covers and new oil. We repaired the frame so that the airbox fitted correctly again, and we replaced the foot peg down on that side because it was bent and cracked. And now I think it's time that we done a quick to-do list to see what we got left to do and how quickly we can get this bike to its MOT. So what we're going to be doing today, guys, is putting the front wheel back on, make it easier for me to move it around, put the rebuilt front caliper back on, bleed the brakes, change the front brake fluid, change the rear brake fluid, and give the engine a service. That's the plan for today anyway. Let's crack on, shall we? So, my old man changed the front tyre, put a new inner tube in for us. I don't have the tools to do it, so that was handy. So, before we put the wheel on, we've got to get the speedo loom back in. It's an electronic speedo, it's not a cable. There is an argument here that this may have been easier with the headlight off. Never mind. I can see the plug just. So there's a little clamp at the top here. Oh, it's just started to rain, which means we're gonna have to move everything back inside again. Fantastic. Going back together always takes longer than taking apart, especially when you're looking for new bits of hardware and all the rest of it. So we haven't got a new front mudguard. Fine bodywork is quite expensive for this, really. I suppose it's in demand. It's that type of bike that will get damaged a bit, I suppose. Right, one front mudguard. Let's get the front wheel on, shall we? So put a bit of grease in the on the spindle and in the speedo drive. Beautiful. So let's get that front caliper on. Right, front caliper. Right, I'm going to torque those up. Let's get the flexi hose where it needs to be. So we've done a little midweek video of the caliper being rebuilt. I know it hasn't been recoated or painted or anything like that, but it is completely rebuilt with new seals, new dust seals. All the sliders are cleaned up with new rubbers, all greased up, new front brake pads, and these are new copper washers which are fighting me. Quick check in the manual, these are 30 Newton meters, so they're good. Front wheel spindle is 58 Newton meters. New dust cap. Happy days. Let's get a new cable tie around here. So before we bleed the brakes up, guys, a brake lever would be handy, and the first one they sent me was wrong. And that looks a lot more like it. The first one wasn't touching the brake light switch. So before I go ahead and change the brake fluid, if there's anything in there, I like to suck that out first so that we're dragging new brake fluid through the system and not old brake fluid through the system, which you can almost guarantee has never been changed. Yeah, there's a little bit in there, so we'll clean that out first. Bit of rag and give it a clean out. Give the inside of the sight glass a little wipe. Fill it up with new brake fluid. So I've got my brake bleeding bottle on the caliper. I'm just going to start pumping some brake fluid through. Get rid of all the old stuff that's sitting in the brake flexi hose. Don't let it run dry because you'll pull a load of air in. So I've got a brake lever now, that feels good. So what we do next is pump it up, hold it, open the bleed nipple, let the lever go all the way back to the handlebars, shut the bleed nipple, let the lever return and check it. You can do that 2 or 3 times, but this one feels perfect. That was .4 brake fluid, as recommended on the cap up here. Try not to overfill the reservoir as you put it back together because it will all drip out just like this one has. Wipe it off a bit quick with water will do it, but this is brake cleaner. Brake fluid is corrosive, so it will take any paint off eventually. Good, right, we've got a front brake. We've got no leaks down at the caliper. So that's another job done. Next up, guys, is change the engine oil and filter. Now, the oil light's flashing on the dashboard. If you know how to get the oil light out on these manually without some diagnostic equipment, let me know in the comments, that would be handy. I'm just going to assume the oil filter's in here, I don't actually know. Looks feasible though. There we go, one oil filter. It's got a little rubber seal on the back, hopefully there's a new one. And then underneath we've got, oh, I thought it was a 17, it's a 19. Oh, it's got little gauze in there as well. So one sump plug, there's a spring and a gauze that goes on the top. So we'll give those a good clean out. Right, while the engine oil's draining, I want to put a new clutch cable on the engine end. So we've got maximum adjustment at the lever end to make life easy down here. It's got a weird setup to hook it in that I'm probably completely in the way and you can't see it. Quite, it's awkward, I'm decorating through the letterbox again. Right, so that's on there. It's just a little steel tab that bends over that holds it in place. Seems to work. Right, so we need to leave it with a little bit of free play at the clutch lever end. So we've adjusted that up, got a nice little bit of free play at the top on the clutch lever. So that's working a treat. So the next thing we need to do is the gear lever. We didn't put it back on before because I lost it. This is a new to us second-hand one because the old one was bent and it had cracked and I couldn't find the one I ordered. And if you watched last week or the week before, can't remember, it was in the packaging with the handlebars. So I've put a new stainless bolt in there as well. Happy days. Look at that, there's a Jubilee clip missing off of there. So how is that not leaking coolant? Or more importantly, has it even got coolant in it? So we drain it and change it? I think we will. Right, let's get this back together. So I've given this spring and gauze a clean up, and I don't think we can talk about gauzes in oilways without mentioning Steve over at TTA 850. So I'll put a link to his channel below. He's rebuilding the same Harley Davidson as me. My one had some form of petrified fossil or oldie weldy candle built up around the gauze. that is a feed to the top end of the engine on the Harley Davidson, and Steve's was nice and clean, so he was lucky. I wasn't so lucky. This one is clean, so this one goes in first, then the sump plug. Just going to pop a tiny bit of grease around the seal. Can use a bit of engine oil if you want. And this goes in first. Let's move this tray because I'm bound to drop it in there, aren't I? Torque setting on the sump plug is 12 Newton meters. There we go. I've already cleaned out where the new oil filter goes. So there's our new oil filter. Again, just gonna pop a bit of grease on each side. Pop that in. Let's get the bolts for it. We haven't got a new seal, so hopefully that one's going to be okay. It's nice and soft still, it wasn't leaking. Right, let's pop some oil in, shall we? Don't know how much it holds, but we've got some Motul 1040 here. Bike's leaning over on the side stand, which is going to have an effect on the oil level. It's on the dipstick. Let's put a drop more in. And then we fire it up. Is that oil service or is that no oil pressure? Anyway, I think it's in neutral. Let's see if it starts, shall we? Right, we won't run it too long, neighbours. Okay, no oil pressure light on the dashboard, and I think that's an oil service light that was flashing. So that's interesting. Anyway, we can let it settle and recheck the level now, can't we? Right, I've rechecked that oil level, guys. That's all okay, got no leaks. Next thing I'm going to do is change the spark plug. Then we'll do the air filter. I think we'll call it a day then. Weather is minging, that's why we're calling it a day. Got quite a bit done, the end is in sight. So, old spark plug. New spark plug, gapped, ready to go. Ooh. Tip, if you drop a spark plug, check you haven't crushed the end, because it will cause you a world of pain. Ask me how I know. One new spark plug. Alright, let's get this air filter changed. It's got a bracket over the top with two 12mm in it. It's really raining now, so I do apologise, but I just want to get this done. I've even treated myself to a set of JIS screwdrivers. It's only 15 quid for a set, and if I stop rounding off JIS screws, it's worth every penny. Oh, smashing the camera about now. So, one air filter. Here is the new air filter. That was a little bit awkward to get back in. Right, excellent. Let's call it a day and get in the dry, shall we? We are so close to it being done now, guys. So we've got to finish off the handlebars, just waiting on the grips arriving, waiting on some bodywork arriving. Just got to run a torque wrench over it, double check we've done everything, recheck all our levels. Can't think what else we've got to do. I'm sure there's a few bits I'll think of. Need to replace that missing Jubilee clip and sort out the rear light, bodywork, as I've already said, stuff like that. So I really hope you're enjoying this rebuild series. Once this is done, we'll be back on with the Triumph and the Harley Davidson and the Ducati, probably mainly the Harley Davidson, because we're off to the TT. It's not that far away, so I need to crack on with that. There's another project on the way that will be later on in the year, and that is a really cool one. So if you're enjoying this so far, guys, hit subscribe. It's completely free of charge, really helps us out. So smash that subscribe button, drop us a comment, hit like. I'm Dino, this is Patch's Repair Shop, and I'll catch you guys next week.